Jim, our next question was sent via the Cult of Cornette Facebook group by Sandy Dan Rackley.
What?
Sandy Dan Rackley. It wasn't funny, and then you had to say what? Now I can't look at it without laughing.
Hello, Sandy Dan.
Sandy Dan wanted to know, how did wrestlers during the World War II period manage getting to bookings when gas rationing was in effect, and most of the travel in between shows would have been by car? Good question.
Well, as I recall, of course, I was only just a teenager at the time. Yes, there was gas rationing, and most wrestlers didn't fly in those days, except for the biggest stars, the Jim Londuses or whatever. But there was also trains, and Brian, you've seen this. A lot of the old wrestler, books or period pieces, and I was on a train with Strangler Lewis. They actually did that shit up until the 50s, I guess, right? When then it started getting really hard to get a train anywhere in the United States.
By the way, not just wrestlers. I mean, you see, like Babe Ruth was on the train with people.
Yeah,
like, it was everyone.
Yeah, and that's how the movie stars and the studios, if they had to bring stars across the country for a barnstorming publicity tour for a new movie or whatever, they'd put them on a train and have banners and shit.
Harry Truman was the end of that, ladies and gentlemen. That was the last time it was done.
But also, in those days, except for the main event, which may be the big stars, still, except if it was a major wrestling market show, there would be a lot of local guys underneath. And what was it, 3 matches on a card? So you're talking 6 or 8 wrestlers. They got around however they had to get around. And also, guys weren't working in the days before television and before the territories had been established. They weren't working every day because of that, because of travel time. They either had time to, or had to have time to, get in a car 4 or 5 at a time. Those old gangster cars from the 30s and 40s, you could put a 2-bedroom apartment in the fucking thing. So they'd pile up in the car, and they would have an extra day in between to drive from Rochester, New York to Pittsburgh, because there was no interstate. So they did what they had to do. It wasn't like everybody was driving a Cadillac and, driving by themselves.